and welcome here to TalkFCB, and welcome back to the channel here today, guys, for another Barça News Roundup. And today we're going to be focusing on plenty more transfer news, heavily focused there on the Brazilian wonder kid, Vitor Roque. That is going to be coming up today. We're also going to be talking about Ansu Fati, who's been linked with an exit from the club. What do we make of that? And there's also some Barça mid-season awards that we're going to be handing out here for the best player, the worst player of the season so far, and the most surprising. All of those categories and more coming your way. There's lots to look forward to, and hopefully for you to get involved with today. So let's do it. Because if we do indeed kick off with that transfer news, first of all, starting here with the headline this morning from Mundo Deportivo, who lead with 3 priorities for the summer transfer window. And you can see right there, the first one is none other than Yannick Carrasco. And I've got to say, guys, I'm still not sure about that one. I think the only reason that link is there right now is because obviously in the Memphis deal, we secured that buy option for Carrasco if we want it in the summer. But I still don't know if we're going to go down that road. Athletic fans right now, they're actually really unhappy with the performances that Carrasco is putting in, and I'm still not convinced that will even happen. There's Amrabat, of course, the man we made a very late move for on deadline day, currently playing his football with Fiorentina. Brilliant at the World Cup, wasn't he, for Morocco? And it remains to be seen what's going to happen come the summer. Will Barca return then and try and get him again? If we do, we're likely to face more competition than we did in the January transfer window, so that's going to be really interesting to see. But I think the big man and the big name on everybody's lips right now with Barca is Vitor Roque, the 17-year-old Brazilian forward. He's appeared this morning on both of the Catalan sports daily papers, and there are certainly some big links to him. Because when it comes to Vitor Roque, the big news that has broken over the past 24 hours is that Barça have now reportedly contacted Athletico Paranaense to begin negotiations for the young forward. It's reported there that the player is desperate to join Barca. He is really open to that move. His whole family as well apparently want him to make that move. Everybody is united there, and Barca do not expect a bidding war. They don't expect significant competition because Vitor Roque wants Barca, and he is very early right now in his young career, still just 17 years old. But I do have to say right now, he is very highly rated in Brazil. He's actually being compared to Luis Suarez in terms of the style of play, the profile of forward that he is. Now, I'll say straight away, those are big shoes to fill, and I think it would be unfair to burden him with that sort of pressure, but he does come highly recommended. He's got 6 goals already so far for Brazil there in the under-20 Sudamericano tournament, and that's often a tournament there that really highlights and showcases the brightest South American prospects, and Vitor Roque has been outstanding in that tournament for Brazil under-20. And I think it is interesting, guys, because yesterday, of course, on the channel, we spoke a lot about Deco and his influence there in the Rafinha deal, bringing him to Barca, and apparently he could be involved in this one too. Now, he doesn't represent Vitor Roque directly, but apparently he's very close there to Luis Felipe Scolari, who just happens to be the former coach of the player and also the current football coordinator at his current club, Athletico Paranaense. So that's going to be really interesting to keep an eye on, and Barca apparently want Roque to come in to be that backup right now for Robert Lewandowski, and crucially to develop under him. And I think that's the perfect scenario right now at the age Lewandowski is to actually make that move now to bring in that young forward. Because I think we made a massive mistake when we had Luis Suarez in terms of when he got to his latter years, and we didn't bring in anybody to grow under him, to develop and then step into his shoes. We left it all too late. This time I think we have to be proactive now. Lewandowski is delivering, he's firing, he's at the peak of his powers, but now bring in somebody who can just tap into that, who can just learn from him on the training ground, out there on the field, get opportunities, and slowly grow into the shirt. And somebody here like Vitor Roque coming in, it is a really exciting link. But what does all of this mean for Ansu Fati? Because I want to talk about him and his current situation right now, because over these past few weeks or so, we've heard a lot of exit links when it comes to Ansu Fati. He's been linked there to Bayern Munich, to Manchester United, and apparently there's a whole host of clubs that if he was to be listed on the market this summer, if he was to be out there in the summer transfer window, they would all be queuing up to sign him. But the question right now, of course, is he going to be on the market? Because we are hearing right now in the media in Barca, we know that we have to really alter our wage bill again, that we have to bring that down. We also know that we may have to generate some finances, and could that big sale be Ansu Fati? And that, for me right now, that's a really hard question to pose to you guys. That's a really difficult question and almost unbelievable, given the way that Ansu Fati exploded at this club, the way that he came through the youth setup, really showing all of that talent. He spent over half of his life at this club. This is his club, and it's really sad right now that we're even talking about that coming to an end. But what is that next step right now with Ansu Fati? You look at his game time this season, it's been very, very limited. I think at the start that was owing there to sort of easing him back in after his injury problems, and that was very understandable. But I think right now, he's just not in the team. I don't think it's really down to those injury concerns. It's very much a case right now of Ansu not being able to break into Xavi's plans, especially with the four midfielders that we're now using. He's not getting the minutes that he wants, and I'm sure that's tough. But what do you do from here? And what do you do looking at the summer there? Do you give him more time at this club? Because everybody, I'm sure, will be saying right now, the guy's 20 years old. He is still extremely young. He is still extremely early in his career here. And I feel like if he went away, if we chose there to sell him on, and he went away and he really reignited again and he showed all of that talent and he got back to the player that we know that he could be, we'd be kicking ourselves. That would probably be one of the biggest mistakes the club would ever make, to let Ansu go if he was to realise that potential. So that's the question that you have right now. I'm personally hoping that we can see from Ansu some big performances now in this second half of the season, in the big games that we have to come in these coming months. Let's see something special from him and basically take it out of the club's hands. Show them that you don't need to go anywhere. Show them that you deserve to be in this team and that you can provide that quality, because we all want Ansu to succeed here. I think we all want that more than anything. We're desperate for that to happen. But only time will tell now. Only time is going to tell us if he can. But indeed, guys, now that we have reached the midway point of the league season, we are now into February, of course, big games to come. But looking back on what we've seen so far, I've seen plenty of people throughout this week so far actually going through some mid-season awards, ranking players there, the best player, the worst player, the most underrated, surprising, the worst player indeed that we've seen from Barca this season. So what I thought we'd do here is just go through that with you guys. And of course, I want to know what your mid-season awards would be and how you would allocate these honours. So let's start with the best player for Barca this season so far. Let's go through some of the candidates. Because of course you have Robert Lewandowski. There's no getting away from that at all. 14 La Liga goals in 16 starts in the league. We know he missed some time with that suspension. He's also got 5 Champions League goals to his name. By far and away, he's been a massive impact and a driving force behind what we've been doing this season. He has been instrumental and no doubt one of our best players this season. I think you have to mention Marc-Andre Ter Stegen, because yes, he has had this season a really good defence in front of him most of the time, which has helped him with the clean sheets, but I think he's made massive saves. Even with that improved defence, we've still had to call upon him, and every single time he's delivered. 15 clean sheets so far in 20 league games is extraordinary. He has to be up there for one of our best players. But this is my problem. This is my problem, again, with allocating a best player, because you look there at somebody like Dembele. He's been outstanding in attack. He's really come on again this season and improved and shown his quality before the current injury that he has. You look in midfield, Pedri, how good has he been? How good is he always when he plays? How key is he in this team? You've got Gavi, Frankie in that area, always consistent. And then the back line, Araujo, Koundé, Christensen, Balde. Like we said a few videos ago, guys, it's hard to single out one player, and I don't want to here, because no player for me has been even more important than someone else. Every single player has played their part. So many brilliant players in this team right now, and that, believe me, that's a great thing to have. However, when we cross now to the most underrated player this season, that is easy. That is an easy pick for me. Andreas Christensen. There's nobody else that you can say, when he arrived in the summer, We did not expect this. We really didn't. He goes under the radar every single game. There's often players that get more headlines, that get more appreciation and praise than him. But is there anybody that's been as consistent right throughout this season so far? The quality that he's shown, the calmness about his game. I think we've all been so impressed. And maybe not underrated in the Barca fan base, but maybe if you said to somebody else who's been outstanding this season, looking at the Barca team, they probably wouldn't pick Christensen. They wouldn't be aware of how good he's been, but he really has been in Xavi's side. I think when you're looking at most surprising, there's a good case again to say, look, it's Christensen. He's surprised us all. He's really gone above and beyond expectations. But actually here, I would go with Balde. I think his explosion into the first team this season, I think that took everybody by surprise. At the start of the season, we were all hoping that he could push Jordi Alba, that he would at least be given some opportunities by Xavi to show what he can do, and he could grow as the season went on. But it was almost as though he got in that team and he never looked back. He has been extraordinary, absolutely incredible on that left side, and he would definitely be the biggest surprise, the most exciting surprise for Barca this season for me. Which leaves us then with the worst player for Barca so far this season. Now, this is honestly not something that I enjoy talking about, or sort of singling one player out being worse than somebody else, but I do have to mention a few of the names that have been discussed in this particular area. Marcos Alonso, for me, he's been unconvincing. That's the word that I used to describe him. Ever since he arrived at the club, he hasn't really done much to convince us Barca fans who weren't really happy with his signing. There's no way for me that he should have been starting matches ahead of Jordi Alba or Alejandro Balde at left back. So Alonso, for me, it's definitely been questionable, his time at Barca so far. You got Ferran Torres. Honestly, it's been a season to forget for him. It really has been a tough time for him so far. I feel like he's in a bad place right now. I don't really want to pile on that and add to that. You know, his confidence is at an all-time low. Piling on him is not really going to help anybody, so I don't want to do that here. And he is desperately struggling even for minutes in this team right now. And so when all's said and done, I would probably have to say my worst player of the season so far for Barca would be Hector Bellerin. I think, yeah, he's left the club now, and I think we're all kind of relieved about that. Again, I don't want to be nasty about it, but I think really, ever since he arrived at the club, he just looked out of place. It was a position this season at right back that we had real problems in, that we were short in, that we were really lacking players. You know, Xavi was looking around thinking, who can I choose? And even in press conferences sometimes, I think Xavi himself even forgot that he had Bellerin there. He didn't really want to play him. He didn't trust him in games, and his performances were nowhere near good enough. And that is why already he has left the club. Barca have chosen to cut his time short. But the only good thing is that he arrived on a free transfer. Credit to him, he was earning very low wages anyway, so he hasn't done any damage to the club. You know, I don't dislike him as a person, but it's safe to say that his return to where it all started for him, it did not work out for Hector Bellerin. But what I really do want to know, guys, and what I'm really excited about here, is knowing your picks there. In terms of the best player, are you able to do what I couldn't and single one player out? Are you able to say there that one has just been better than all the rest? That will be a big choice. Who is your most underrated pick for the season so far? Your most surprising player? And also there, who would you allocate to be Barca's worst player of the season so far? Please do let me know, guys, all of your selections down below, along with your thoughts on Vitor Roque and Ansu Fati's situation at the club right now. Thank you indeed for getting involved and for tuning in here today for the News Roundup once again. I really appreciate all of your support and all of you getting involved here in the TalkFCB community. I will see you soon, of course, where there will be plenty more coming your way. But until next time, as always, Vishka El Barça.